Welcome to the All Access Entertainment Podcast. I am your host, Joseph Bruen. A very special guest this week. Of course, you might know him as one of the Mongols, the mass superstar, three-time World Wrestling Federation Tag Team Champion, Axxess of Demolition. Welcome to the show.
Hi, my friend. It's been a project, hasn't it?
It has. We finally made this happen, so hopefully it'll be a flawless, interview. But I'm very happy to have you here.
Well, I'm glad to be with you.
So, Bill, let's go to the very beginning. Growing up as a young adult or a child, when did you first discover pro wrestling? Who were some of your favorites?
Well, in Pittsburgh area, where I grew up south of Pittsburgh in a little town, Brownsville, of course, if you didn't like Bruno Sammartino, you weren't a wrestling fan. And then the Bruiser was there, and Batman, Tony Marino, a lot of guys, a lot of people. But I really wasn't into it as much as my grandparents, and they sort of pulled me into it. So I became acquainted with them more when my next door neighbor, who was a former boxer, Marion Klingesmith, who was mayor of the town and later became the athletic commissioner, took us down to the Civic Arena, and we got a chance to go back into the locker room and actually meet face to face with a lot of the wrestlers. And old Eric the Red was there, and Gorilla Monsoon, and it was pretty exciting.
And at what point did you decide that you wanted to give it a shot yourself and get into the business?
Well, after that meeting, a friend of mine and I went down to the arena, and we sat up in the audience, watched the matches, and both of us were athletes, so we figured, let's give it a try. I don't want to be down the road 5 years, 10 years down the road and say, what if I'd have tried that? So we both met with Guido Mongol, who was a promoter at Pittsburgh at that time, and he invited us down to his gym in Mars, Pennsylvania, and later found out that that's the same town that a future partner of mine, John Studd, was living in. So Larry Sabisco was training. So we started training with Guido there in Mars, Pennsylvania.
So 1972, you made your debut as the paramedic. A year later, 1973, you'd team up with a partner as the paramedics. Who was your partner at that time?
Ron Matusi, the guy that went down with us to the Civic Arena. He was a football player, and he had gone from Brownsville there down to the University of Miami before Miami was on the map, really. But he was also a track star, and he was in the race with Bob Hayes when Bob Hayes set the world record, and Ron got third place, got 9.7 or 9.9. So he was really overlooked, and he was big guy as a running back, but it was over 210 pounds. So, but that was the race he was in.
And eventually you would become one of the Mongols, Bolo Mongol, the WWWF. What was that experience like? And kind of take us through that run there.
Well, Nikolai Volkov was the original partner for Guido. And I think I forget his name now.
Beppo?
Beppo, yeah. And he got injured in Louisiana. And then he was out for a while. And Guido had approached me since Guido trained me. He had scheduled a trip to Japan. And luckily it was in the summertime. So I was still teaching, and I was going to replace Beppo. So we went to Japan, and I figured, well, here's my chance. If I go full time, I won't be down the road and saying, well, what if I'd have done it? So I was fortunate. It took off. We got booked all over the world because of Guido, really. And then I came back, and we worked in Mid-Atlantic. And Guido was ready to retire or slow down considerably. So George Scott had approached me about a mask gimmick. and they had Don Jardine in there as the spoiler. So Jardine was getting ready to leave. I think he had given his notice. And as we all know in this business, it was probably generated because of money. So I was scheduled to take the position, not the place of Jardine. You can't really take his place. But I also was realized that if George Scott, the promoter, and the booker thought it was going to go, it was going to go because he was going to make it go. So I transitioned from the Mongols, had a loser leave town match with Wahoo McDaniel in Greenville, South Carolina. And the next day I appeared as the Masked Superstar. But prior to that, Malenko and Boris Malenko was in the territory, and he was going to be a manager, and he became my manager. And as the Mongols, we needed managers because we didn't talk. And as Masked Superstar, I had no uh, inhibitions about talking because of my teaching background, but we transitioned into it. And the Masked Superstar appeared after Bolo Mongo left town.
Hmm. Let's talk about that. The Masked Superstar. Obviously, you had a run in Mid Atlantic as a Masked Superstar, and of course, with the World Wrestling Federation in 83, 84, 85. In WWF alone, you had a great run there as a Masked Superstar, working with the likes of Jimmy Snuka and Hulk Hogan, Bob Backlund, Sergeant Slaughter. When did you enjoy that character more? Was it Mid Atlantic? Was it the WWF?
Well, I always enjoyed the character. There was less, uh, I won't say much less travel in New York because, you traveled a considerable amount more there, but I was home almost every 2 or 3 days in the Mid Atlantic. I enjoyed both of them. I mean, I got to work with top guys, but as far as being able to be home, once you're in New York, my family was still in uh, Charlotte at the time, so that was a little tougher on me.
And how did the costume for the Masked Superstar come about? How many different masks do you think you'd had over the years, and do you still have any today?
Well, I have a few, but at one time I had over 100, and my wife's grandmother designed it. We bought the singlet and the tights from I think they were in Arkansas at the time, and the boots, of course, I got them from Texas. But the mask and the capes and the entrance jackets were all developed and designed by my wife's grandmother. And then, unfortunately, she passed, so I had some things made in Japan. And yeah, at one time I had various combinations. I would have silver with black face and black stars, and I had silver with silver face and black stars. I did that with every color: red, green, uh, yellow, white, you name it, any color combination. So yeah, at one time it was well over 100.
Wow. And did you have a favorite?
No, but there was a lot of fans that said they had favorites. And one thing that George Scott was really astute at, I used to take notes. I had a notebook every night. So if I was in Greenville or I was in Charlotte or I was in Roanoke or Charleston, I had to write down the outfit color that I had that night. So say December the 1st, I wore silver in Greenville, silver mask, and the tights and the boots all matched, and so did the cape. So I would have to look through so the next time I was in Charleston or Charlotte or Greenville, I couldn't wear the same color combination. And fans used to ask, "Oh, I love the silver, I love the red, or I love that dark blue, or the light blue, or I like the black one." And it was funny how it caught on. And even in Japan, Japan had favorite colors. The silver was very popular, but the black face, the black mask with uh, blue stars or silver stars was their favorite. So kept keeping notes kept me. It was like 6 or 7 months before I'd be back in the same town with the same mask on.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, and it was cool.
Makes it different for the fans and special
It
for sure.
it does.
Now, when it comes to the Mongols, what was that costume like for you? And do you still have any of those pieces?
I believe I still have the the cape, which was a large fur rug. I don't have any of the outfit. I don't have any of the boots and or things like that. So they may be in the house someplace, but
Yeah.
or in the garage or storage. But no, I don't have any of those.
Any specific memories that you could share with us about Mid Atlantic and your time there?
Well, it was a real good opportunity for me. It sort of jump started my career. I had been in the business for a period of time, but George Scott took me under his wing, guided me. And of course, at that time, not all the top talent in the world was there. Everybody wanted to be in Mid Atlantic, and it was on fire. And I was just fortunate enough to be involved in some good angles with Mighty Igor and Mulligan and Paul Jones. So I made a lot of money there, all good memories there. My daughter still lives in Charlotte, so we go up there periodically. We're up there most of the summer and spend summer with her. Uh, all positive memories of Mid Atlantic.
I had probably a 3-minute interview with you. It was 27 years ago,
Oh, my.
I believe to this month, but it was for Empire Pro Wrestling, and it was in somewhere in Massachusetts, maybe Mansfield, and that was the very first time that I had the opportunity to, it was just maybe 3 or 4 minutes, and it's a great opportunity to have you here today, and I appreciate you being here for sure.
Well, it's my pleasure.
So, what would you say your biggest takeaway was from your time in Mid Atlantic?
Well, learning, you know, you think you learn how to wrestle, and I had confidence in myself. But when I put the mask on, I had to really adapt because the mask, you can't, there's no expression change. So you got to sell with your body. You got to sell with your head, your shoulders, and your chest, and your arms, and your ankles, and your feet, and everything has to move to project what the feeling is, because the face is the same. Anybody that's working with a mask. So I thought that putting on that mask made me a more uh, confident and accomplished wrestler.
And what memories can you share about the late Mr. Wrestling 2?
Oh, all positive. I mean, he was really over here in Georgia. And when I came from the Mid Atlantic area down here into Georgia, there was a number of masked wrestlers. There was probably, I don't know off the top of my head, I really don't remember, so I'd be BSing you, but there was probably 5 or 6, if not more. And then plus me coming in. So Ole had the idea that we're going to eliminate one after another. And it's going to come down to Wrestling 2 and you. And you're going to run Wrestling 2 out of here, which, according to the fans, was impossible. Uh, and we had a number of good matches. I mean, we had hour matches. We had 45-minute matches. I mean, all around in every town for about a year and a half. And I have nothing but praise for him. He was a true professional. And, he was cautious and protective of his gimmick like I was. And I think that was the mystique of the wrestling too and a mass superstar.
So I remember January of 2005, Tampa, Florida. You were a part of a live wrestling show as a part of Wrestle Reunion Weekend, and it was yourself and the Grappler in a
Yeah.
mask versus mask match. Any memories of working with the Grappler over the
Oh,
years?
he's a good guy, good friend of mine. But I'll tell you what, I don't know if you actually saw that, but he was in a position. I think I hit him or give him an elbow or a forearm or something. He took a bump, and I grabbed his boot and I was going to try to pull him and drag him, and the bottom of his boot came off.
Yes,
So I just used it as a weapon.
right.
And he
Yes,
blamed me. He blamed me for years for being so stiff that I ripped his shoe off.
oh, that's great. I was there front row for that show,
Oh,
and
were you?
yeah, fond memories. It was a really fun show, and it's too bad they didn't. I guess they didn't film it, or the film didn't come out proper, or So to this day, nobody's seen it.
Yeah, and I thought that was going to be. I think that was probably one of the earliest, wrestle meet and greets, right?
Yeah, it was definitely before WrestleCon or WrestleCade or any of those. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was very good.
Yeah, it was definitely well produced. What would you say has been the greatest challenge of being a part of the wrestling industry?
Well, for me, it's being away from home. Uh, I've got a very good wife, and she raised my kids and took care of everything, bought and sold homes, moved all by herself. Uh, that was probably the biggest drawback. I enjoyed the wrestling act part of it. I enjoyed, of course, the paydays. They were lucrative. I was a teacher before, and I was making more in one match than I was making all week teaching. So I can't ridicule that part of it. For me, it was just being around the world, being in Japan, being in Europe, being in Canada, being in every state in the United States, and a lot of times alone and not having my family to share it. I was a big history buff, so I enjoyed the part of seeing these places, Appomattox and Mount Rushmore and places like that. But I wish my family was able to be with me to enjoy it. That's
And
that's what I would say.
on the flip side of that, what would you say is the most rewarding for you so far?
Uh, Now it's so many years after going to the WrestleFest and WrestleCons and events that are all around the country. New England Fan Fest there coming up, and having the fans come up to you and saying, "Oh, I remember this and I remember that," because just to have an imprint on their life is very important. It's humbling.
Yeah. Yeah, it means a lot to the fans, and they're always so excited when you go to these shows. And what's it like meeting those fans one on one and having those conversations?
Oh, it's always good. It's always. I don't think I've had a bad experience with the fans. They're so kind, and they remember things that I forgot. And often Barry and I will make a statement. If we don't know something, all you got to go is on Instagram or Facebook and ask a fan. In about 15 minutes, you're going to have an answer.
Right. Now, is there a keepsake that you have from your career, whether it be something you've, gotten from a promotion or even from a fan that you still have to this day that means a lot to you?
Well, yeah, that's funny because my wife finally has is persuaded me to start an office in the house. With the boys growing up and family moving out, we've got spare rooms now. So uh, I'm going to have an office, and I've got lots of items. I've got things from school that when I was teaching, awards, Teacher of the Year, I was pleasantly awarded with. A lot of memorabilia that the fans have given me, uh, custom made figures that they've presented me. Of course, now with the figures that are out, and a gentleman from Montreal, a friend of ours, has made some belts. Had a belt made in England and Scotland that they've sent us. So there's a lot of things. It's just a matter of now. Uh, we had to redo the carpeting, put in new carpeting and paint. So probably within the next 6 weeks or so, uh, I'll have a room set up with some shelves and all the things. So I'm looking forward to that.
Excellent. We'd love to see some pictures of that when it's all
Yeah,
finished.
yeah.
Now, let's talk action figures. Obviously your first action figure was, of course, the big rubber LJN figures from the '80s. You went on to have a Hasbro figure in the '90s, and of course the classic figures from Jack Pacific. You've had many independent companies, make some figures for you guys as well. Have you had a favorite figure over the years? Obviously, the Mattel figures now.
Well, I wouldn't be able to say that I have a favorite. I really do enjoy them all. And when I first got the when I first got the figures out, and now I can say they're figures, they're action figures. I called them dolls, and I told my grandson, who's 30 years old now, uh, I said, "Look, they made a doll." He says, "Pop up, they're not dolls, they're action figures." So I was corrected. But yeah, there's a lot of things coming out, and we're just fortunate. I mean, who would have thunk it that you get in this business and you just want to wrestle and you want to get paid, and all of a sudden, all this merchandise, T-shirts and figures and uh, all these things coming, ice cream bars and stuff like that, and their pillows, and it's really amazing. And it's just up to the ingenuity of the fans to develop it and offer it. And I think that there's a lot of new things coming out that we're looking forward to, and I'm excited.
And you were one of the very first men to body slam Andre the Giant. What are some of your memories, with Andre behind the scenes?
Oh, all positive.
Yeah.
He was a good friend of mine. He was a good friend of my wife and my actual whole entire family. And I miss him. I think he had a premonition. I think we spoke of this before, that he wasn't going to be around long. And there was no shades of gray with Andre. He either liked you or he didn't like you. If he liked you, he would go to the end of the earth for you. If he didn't like you, he wasn't mean. He just didn't have time for you because and I think now looking back, there's a lot of people in my life that I don't really get along with, and I'm not going to disrespect them, but I'm not really spend a lot of time with because life is short.
Sure.
I'll be cordial to you. I'll say hello, this and that, but I'm not going to invite you to have chicken at the house.
Right.
And I think Andre was like that too. And for my friends, I'll do anything for them. I really would. And he was like that. All of my memories of Andre were positive.
And of course, we talked about the mass superstar, the Mongols. You'd, of course, go on to be one of the machines. And your many tours of Japan, what was the culture like for you over there in Japan?
Oh, Japan, there again, I can't say anything negative about Japan. I love the food. I love the people. I love the promotion, it was first class. Inoki took great care of us. Everything we did was first class travel, first class hotels. Uh, they were hard to negotiate with. I think anybody that knows the culture, once they give you their word's golden. I spent 15 plus years there, probably 40 some tours on a handshake. No written contract, on the word of Antonio Inoki, and that trickled down. And Sakaguchi and Fujinami and all these guys, if they gave you their word, it was golden. And I grew up on that. My dad said that your word's the only thing you have, and if you break it, nobody's going to trust you. So keep it. If you say something, follow through. Uh, and that's the way I treated with people. That's the way I deal with people. If I give my word, no matter what it is, I'm going to follow through. Now, if we're negotiating and something comes up later, then we can renegotiate. But I learned that from my dad, and I still live by that.
And of course, the Demolition. You would become Axe, and Barry Darso, coming fresh off of Crusher Khrushchev, would become Smash. Randy Colley, of course, the original
Yep.
Smash for a short period of time there. Why don't you tell us about that and how that kind of transitioned into Barry Darso?
Well, Randy had approached Vince originally with the character, and Vince liked it from day one. Uh, and then Randy had approached me because Vince wanted a tag team, and he wanted me to be in the tag team. So he had presented, a variety of aspects. The mask was going to be fur mask, and uh, boots were going to have fur, and this and that. So over a period of probably 5 to 6 weeks, we tweaked it. We threw this out and added this, and we added the paint and took the mask off. We added an entrance mask. We took the boots and took the fur off the boots and added like motorcycle boots with spikes, and so it was a transition and a variations of the look itself. And then we had two matches. I think I don't remember which was first. One was Allentown, one was Hershey, or vice versa. to present the character, and we didn't have any music at that time. So we came to the ring, and the reaction of the fans initially as we come through the curtain was fantastic. And as soon as we got to the ring, it was still really good. Well, we took the mask off, and everybody recognized Randy because Randy had been in there for years as the Moondog. He was their champion, so they recognized. They start calling Moondog, Moondog. The second night was the same thing. I had already had an agreement to go back and forth to Japan, so I had to honor that contract. And Vince didn't want me to go, and I told him, I said, I gave my word, and like we talked about briefly earlier, I said, I'm not going to back down. I said, the characters of Demolition are going to work, but they're not going to work with Randy. Randy knew that. And he was gracious enough to step aside. So in the interim, I was in Japan, and Vince had suggested a number of other people. All of the other people were also just left or in WWF at the time. I said, Vince, it's not going to work. We got to bring somebody new in. So I said, you got to interview some people that had not been here. And that's when Barry came up. And in the meantime, I was in Japan. So Barry met with Vince and agreed to do the character. We came back, and then I met Barry and Charlotte because Vince had had a stipulation. If I had agreed to bring him in, that was fine. If not, we'd have to find somebody else. But I liked Barry first time I met him. And I knew that he trained and worked with Ivan. And Ivan was a true professional. So if he was under Ivan's wing, then he was good.
And the rest is history. You guys would go on to become 3-time tag team champions in the WWF. Why don't you tell us a little about your friendship with Barry over the years?
Oh, it's been good. I mean, we haven't had an argument. We've been together now for, my God, over 36, 37 years. On the road, we've been together during those years probably more than we were with our wives. So you have to have a harmonious relationship. And we didn't argue. Neither one of us were jealous. We didn't care about who was looking better in the match. We just wanted the match to be good. We wanted the team to be good. And everything we did was positive for the team.
And did you still have any of the Demolition helmets or the spike pads or anything?
Still do, but it's not in my possession. It's in the grandkids' possession or
Yeah.
my daughter's. But yeah, we still have some.
Now, did you have a preference donning the mask of your other gimmicks or the paint of Demolition?
I had privacy, believe it or not, with both of them. I had more privacy, of course, with the Masked Superstar because nobody had facial features. But just that little layer of paint as Demolition give you some privacy too. And then they really didn't. They'd look at you like they knew who you were, but then they start speaking, and oh, I know who you are.
Yeah. How about Georgia Championship Wrestling? A few more memories if you have anything from that time period, maybe working with the Wildfire Tommy Rich.
Oh, all good. I really enjoyed Georgia. I'm still here. I made my home here. I've changed from, I lived in Stone Mountain for a period of time. Now I'm a little north of Atlanta, and all positive. Ole was a good booker. Ole worked uh, professional. He didn't BS you. A lot of people didn't like that. If Ole told you something, it was because he thought it was going to benefit the sport, the presentation, and he didn't mince words. But he told me what I was going to do, who I was going to work with, what kind of money I was going to make, and working with Wrestling 2 and working with Wahoo and working with Tommy Rich. Tommy was the predecessor, to so to speak, to Hulk Hogan. He didn't have the body of Hulk Hogan, but he had the wild, exciting energy in the ring. He did down home country boy promo, which for here was really appropriate. And you couldn't have a bad match. I mean, Tommy he got sympathy from the fans. When it was time for him to make a comeback, he was wildfire. And Then I had worked with Tony Atlas. I worked with a number of people down here. All the memories I have for Georgia are all positive.
Let's take you to the Sky Dome, Toronto, Canada, WrestleMania 6. Of course, you and Barry defeating Andre the Giant and Haku. One of the biggest ovations, if not the biggest ovation of that night specifically. Any memories from that show?
Well, when you're in the midst of the forest, you don't see all the trees, but yeah, I do remember. I remember the match, of course, and it was an honor working with Andre. I remember the ovation we got. Uh, that was exciting. And we were just recently in Toronto this summer during a convention. And I mean, not tons, but I mean, hundreds of people came up and they were in attendance that day. And they have fond memories of it. So it was a lasting moment for them as well as us.
And the hundreds and hundreds of venues and arenas that you've been to throughout your career, do you have a favorite venue?
Well, I would have to say the Tokyo Dome. I'd have to say uh, Korakuen Hall in Tokyo. Atlanta, of course, because it was my hometown. Columbus, Ohio, my wife's from there. Um, Madison Square Garden, that's the temple, right?
Yeah.
Boston Gardens, that's iconic.
Yeah.
Uh, Olympia Auditorium, Olympic, which is the one in San Francisco,
Cow Palace?
Cal Palace,
Yeah.
uh, Horizon, uh, Detroit. I've been in Detroit many times. Cleveland, Pittsburgh Civic Arena near my home. Uh, so many. I mean, it was exciting to go around the world and Toronto, Maple Leaf Gardens, Montreal, the Forum. When you think of it, my God, I could probably list 300 and leave out 100. I got to go around the world and perform and visit and experience history and excitement. And I got paid to go. And people pay to go to these places. So I was really fortunate in my life. And I thank God for that.
And a fan question came in as far as New England goes. Any specific memories from New England? Like you said, the Boston Garden, of course, the old Providence Civic Center, the Worcester Centrum.
Oh, yeah,
Mhm.
all of them. All of them.
Yeah.
Uh, we were up there not too long ago in Rhode Island, and we were driving around, and all the same things, all the same memories came. The Comic Con there, going to the Fan Fest there, uh, uh, Worcester and Rhode Island. I mean, all through Rhode Island. My God, Providence. All of the fans that you meet have memories, and they relay those memories to us, and that just like you're spurring all these ideas, and it's rapidly going through my mind. Like
Right.
I'm trying to remember all these good things and these positive things because I just do relate that they are positive.
Yeah. Did you ever have the opportunity to go to the Hasbro headquarters in Rhode Island?
No, I didn't know it was there.
Ah, yeah,
I'd
Pawtucket,
love to
Rhode
do
Island.
that. I'd love to do that.
Yeah, they're moving to the Boston area in Massachusetts, but yeah, they've been there since I want to say the late '80s. So yeah,
Wow.
pretty great location there. What would you say is the best piece of advice that you've ever received?
Boy, I've been given a lot of good advice. Uh, I would say probably I can't remember who had mentioned it to me. It might have been Oli uh, about saving money, setting aside a percentage. You pay yourself first.
Hmm.
You pay taxes, you pay for items that you think you need, but set aside. And I relay this to my grandsons too. When you get your paycheck, set aside 10 or 20%. Try to set 20%, no less than 10%, and set it aside in a place you can't touch it. Put it in a separate account. Don't put in your regular account. And after a period of time, you realize, hey, I got a pretty good little stash there. And if you want to do something later on with it, fine, but it's like a backup. Something always comes up, and I always tell them, shit's gonna happen. if it doesn't,
Sure.
if it doesn't happen this week or this month, it's gonna happen. And they've both come to realize, and my daughters both realized that you were right, Dad. Shit happens. So if you have a little backup, it's not as critical for you. It still hurts, but there's always something a little backup. So I think Oli mentioned that to me years ago.
What additional advice could you add to that for an up and coming wrestler, somebody who's just getting into the business?
Well, a lot of people ask us, and there's mostly independent wrestlers. What do you think? You think I should do this full time? And first thing I do is I say, do you have a job? And if they say yes, I would say, you enjoy wrestling? Oh, yes. I say, you'll enjoy wrestling a lot more if you keep your job because you can use wrestling as a hobby. You can work Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays. If you work, you're getting a steady paycheck and you wanted to do this as a hobby instead of golf, and you go to a place and you pick up 100, 200, 300. If you're fortunate enough to get more, that's great. But if you quit that job and you totally depend on 100, 200, 300, it's not going to be as pleasant. You're not going to enjoy it as much. And you're always going to come up to a point where a promoter, a booker is going to ask you to do something you don't feel comfortable with. If you have a job to fall back on, you could say, I really don't think I want to do that. Their comeback is, well, if you don't do it, you're not going to ever work for me. And you can now say, I don't need to work for you. I have a job.
Yeah.
This is a hobby. But if you depend on wrestling, now you're forced into a situation where you have to do things sometimes you don't feel comfortable doing. Don't get in that situation.
And Bill, the fans have been very excited. Obviously, you and Barry have signed a Legends deal of sorts with World Wrestling Entertainment. It's been a long time coming. As far as what you can talk about, what are we expecting? What are we looking at?
Well, we were told that they're going to make action figures, which have already got one out and another coming out. Uh, Hopefully, there'll be some uh, other action figures and other merchandise, T-shirts, and etc. I'd like to see the games where us involved in the video games. So I think they have pretty well free reign. They don't impede on the contract we signed was non-exclusive. So we already have, like you mentioned before, we've got a good relationship with a number of companies that produce items. So we didn't want to jeopardize that. And WWE was nice enough to say, okay, that's fine. So we really don't know what's coming out. We're just excited. It's a 6-year contract. We're finishing up on our first year already. So I think there's trading cards coming out and, like I said, T-shirts and other items. So we're just excited.
Yeah, we got a sneak peek at the first set of Demolition figures, and they look fantastic. So can't wait to see those hit stores. And yeah, very excited to see what's coming for merchandise. And we had Barry Darso on here about maybe a month ago, and he mentioned obviously his book just came out recently, and he mentioned that you guys would maybe be doing a Demolition book together
Right.
specifically. Any insight on that?
Yes, he's got his book out, and I just had one a brief uh, uh, book about the Mass Superstar, and I didn't want to delve into Demolition because I think that one of the things the WWE had mentioned is they want to do a book or something concerning Demolition as well. So if they don't follow up with that, Barry and I are going to go together and do a Demolition presentation. Yeah.
Excellent. All right. And another person I wanted to ask you about, Dick Murdoch. Any memories of Dick Murdoch?
Dick was a strange character. Well, first in wrestling, of course, a little comedic, but uh, we tagged up on a few occasions in Japan, and there again, Dick died way too young.
Yeah.
Uh, he had an agreement with, I think, All Japan at the time, and then he jumped ship and came to New Japan, and we tagged up on a series of events over there and a series of uh, tournaments. But good memories. I met Dick first in Mid Atlantic, and he was doing a redneck gimmick. I think that's what when he started to Dick Murdoch to redneck, and good guy, character, uh, comical sometimes, but was trained by the Funks, I believe, and he and Dusty were partners for a number of years, so he had great success.
Any memories of being on set in the film No Holds Barred? Obviously, you played Jake Bullet.
Yeah, that was the one day. It was supposed to be more than one day, multiple days. Hogan was uh, invited me to do that. The first one was supposed to be Barry, and Hogan had approached me and said that he'd like to work with me in the film, not against Barry, but simply because he had wrestled me in Japan, wrestled me as a mass superstar, and he felt comfortable. And I said, well, of course, I have to get that cleared by Barry because, he was promised a position. And Barry said, that's no problem because he knew he was going to get a couple days off,
Yeah.
which we cherished at that time. So I met Hogan in Atlanta, and we flew from Atlanta to, I think, Topeka or Kansas City, one of the two. They filmed it in Topeka. And we went over the match, and it was supposed to be like a 12, 14, 15-minute match. And we when we landed, we had a little conversation, and we both went to the gym, worked out the next morning. We went to the Topeka Coliseum, I think, and it was full of fans. They are having giveaways and keeping the fans there. And we had a one take. We had a one take match,
Wow.
and the producer and director said, "Well, my God, that's great. Well, what do we need to do now?" And I said, "I think I need to go home."
Yeah.
So we sat by in about 10 or 15 minutes more, and we did some close up photo shots. And then I was gone. I mean, one day I was gone. And then we saw the film. I hadn't seen the film for a period of time after that. And it was narrowed down, of course. I knew it wasn't going to be 10 or 15 minutes, but it was down to like two or three. And a funny story about that, my mother and dad went to watch the film, and they didn't know the character I was playing. So they watched the film, and after the film was over, my dad told my mother, she said, I think they took Bill out of the movie. So they saw the credits roll, and I was Jake Bullet. So they sat again and watched it again, but
Oh,
they didn't
wow.
recognize me. But yeah, that was an experience. I enjoyed that.
Hmm.
And I only had one day off, and I didn't have 2 days off, but I enjoyed the one day off.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, if it were singles or tag team, if you had to pick three, what would you say your top three matches of your career or opponents have been?
Oh boy. I would say singles. I'd have to say it was Inoki or Fujinami. Uh, I enjoyed working with Dino Bravo as Mass Superstar. Of course, wrestling too. Wahoo. There again, I can't mention two or three. I'd have to. I'm leaving out probably a dozen or 2 dozen. I mean, I
Yeah.
was lucky. Tags, uh, Bulldogs, Heart Foundation, Haku and Andre. Um, oh my goodness. Brainbusters, Strike Force. there again, it's an injustice because there were so many good teams.
Yeah,
I could list, if I had time, I could probably jot down 100, 150.
right.
It was just that good,
Yeah, you've
and
had so many great matches.
we were lucky to be in a time frame that there was top guys. There again, a single Tommy Rich. Uh, uh, my goodness, it's just there's so many.
Yeah. And you mentioned Chief Wahoo McDaniel. Any
Yeah.
memories that you could share of him?
Oh, great guy. Uh, Native American. My wife's Native American, so he sort of adopted her as his sister. Um, give you the shirt off of his back. She could be stiff at times.
Yep.
One time I told him a story. We're working, and I'm getting, he was chopping, and him and Flair and him and Valentine, they got off on chopping each other as hard as they could. Well, I didn't mind being stiff and snug, but I didn't want to be blistered, and they were being blistered. So we were in Norfolk, Virginia, and I had bruises all over my chest. And I went over to Whoa and I said, Chief, I got a favor to ask you. He said, Well, what is it, boy? I said, Sue, my wife, your adopted sister. Yeah? I said, she doesn't want to see tonight's match on my chest tomorrow morning. I said, can you loosen up a little bit? And from then on, he was a lot looser.
That's good. That's funny.
Yeah.
Any personal memories of Howard Finkel, the ring announcer?
Uh, we weren't really around Howard that much other than TV,
Hmm.
but he was very good. I mean, what a voice, right?
Yeah.
And I liked Howard. Every time we were around him, he was pleasant, very professional always, and yeah, good positive vibes from Howard.
And early on in the Royal Rumble, you would draw number 1 and 2 between you and Barry Darso. What was that experience like? Kind of, working against your tag team partner.
Well, I knew I was going out number one because I had been briefed by it. So I was loosening up and stretching and getting ready. The music went on and I went into the ring. And then I get in the ring and I'm walking around and I hear the music again. And in my head, I'm thinking, they screwed up. The guy put the same music on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't think anything about it until I saw Barry coming down. I thought, oh my God, it's going to be a long night. And I don't remember the time frame you had in between the next opponent, but I think it was like 2 minutes or one, I don't know, 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we weren't going to stand there with our thumbs up our rear end
Right.
or twiddle our fingers. So we just went at it. And then the music for Andre came down. So that's probably the first time that both of us were happy to see the Giant come to the ring.
That's awesome. And when it comes to moments, you're looking at your entire career as a whole. What would you say, whether it's in the ring or outside of the ring, your favorite number one moment has been? If you had to pick one.
Oh, God. There again. I don't think I could pick one. Maybe going to Japan for the first time because that was an adventure. Um, just getting in the ring. I mean, even every night was if you had butterflies, you knew something was going to happen good.
Yeah.
And I always was taught and told when you don't, if you're not a little nervous before the match and you don't have butterflies, it's time to retire.
Right.
So, you know, you're taking it for granted. And I don't honestly ever think that that ever happened to me. And if it did, I would have said, well, it's time to go.
Yeah. When it comes to the Demolition paint, did you put it on each other? Did you put it on yourselves? And how long did it take to put it on?
Well, no, we put it on ourselves. At first couple times, we had a makeup people put it on. But then you're in the locker room hours ahead of time. So we enjoyed putting it on. And every night would be different. And I didn't really think about it, but now it's really apropos because uh, I changed the face a little bit each day. And Barry had a little more consistency. He changed his color combinations, but I would change depending on how I felt that night, uh, the the character look, the face look. And it's really come to fruition because with the action figures coming out, they've got a number of varieties they can choose from.
Yeah.
You know, we already got about 4 or 5 different versions of the face. So it's sort of like the Hardy face on Jeff. I mean, when he has figures coming out, he's got like 150 different faces
Right.
to choose from. So maybe God sent that to me in advance that I didn't know, but that's helping out with the face on the figures. So yeah,
Absolutely.
we put that on, and it it was basically how we felt and how much time we had.
And lastly, let's talk about New England Fan Fest real quick. Of course, Saturday, May the 2nd, you'll be there along with Smash Barry Darso, and it's going to be in Seekonk, Massachusetts at the Ramada Hotel. You'll be joined by Nikita Koloff and Sam Houston, the Killer Bees, the Headbangers, the Powers of Pain. I mean, so many great superstars will be there. What do you have for a message to the fans of New England?
Well, I encourage them to come out because this is a well-run, first-class presentation. We always enjoy coming there. And we like it not only because we get to meet the fans, we also get to catch up with our old friends
Yeah.
that we haven't seen. Some of these guys we haven't seen for years. And you start chatting, you start talking, start telling stories, and it's like we just met yesterday. So we have as much fun as the fans do because it's always pleasant to have meet and greets and sign autographs and take pictures. And there again, have the fans come up and say, "Oh, I remember this and I remember that," because it brings back fond memories for us. And it's always a good event. We love coming up there.
No, I appreciate it, Bill, and we look forward to having all the fans come out. I definitely encourage everybody to come out. Powers of Pain and Demolition will be doing a special WrestleMania 5 dual photo op, and
Yep.
of course, presented by EM Collectibles and Ink Tank Auto Graphics. So it's going to be a special event, and of course, all access entertainment.com if you want to pre-order the tickets there, and we really look forward to it. And in closing, Bill, looking fast forwarding years from now, looking back at your career as a whole, how do you want to be remembered? What would you like your legacy to be?
Well, I want to be remembered primarily as an honest guy. I never go in and backstab anybody. If I don't have anything nice to say about you, I'm just not going to say it. I'd rather keep it to myself. Uh, Loving father and a good husband. Outside of the ring, that's most of my time. And the guys in the ring, I protected them. I looked out after them. If anybody's going to get hurt in a match inadvertently, I'd prefer it be me, not them. And I just let my career reflect my values.
Bill, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate you taking the time.
No problem. Good seeing you, my friend.
Same here. Always a pleasure. For the great Bill Eadie, I'm Joseph Bruen, and this has been the All Access Entertainment Podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe and leave your comments. We'd love to hear from you, the fans, and what you thought about this episode. And we will see you all next time.